The Silent Rebellion, the Grand Arbiter. Zenthul adjusted his ceremonial robes as he gazed through the observation deck at the jeweled tapestry of stars stretching across the void. For 300 cycles, the galactic hegemony had maintained order across known space, guiding lesser species toward civilization. Or at least that was the official narrative broadcast across 1,000 worlds. Has Earth submitted their response to our ultimatum? Zenthul asked, not bothering to turn toward the aide hovering anxiously behind him. No, Grand Arbiter. All official channels remain silent. A flicker of annoyance crossed Zenthul's features. Increase the sanctions. Cut off water reclamation, support to their Mars colony. Let's see how long their stubborn pride lasts when their children begin to thirst. For 2 years, the hegemony had systematically dismantled humanity's fledgling interstellar presence. What had begun as regulatory compliance measures quickly evolved into a stranglehold on Earth's colonies and trade routes. Humanity's crime, refusing to submit to hegemony oversight and insisting on developing their own technological path, rather than accepting their designated role as resource providers and manual laborers. The humans called it oppression. The hegemony called it cosmic balance. Captain Maya Reyes stared at the holographic projection of Earth's remaining extrasolar assets. Once spanning 12 star systems with 37 outposts, human presence beyond Sol had been reduced to just 4 functional colonies and a handful of covert research stations. Status of Project Prometheus? She asked, her voice echoing in the underground chamber beneath the ruins of Olympus Mons. Dr. Elias Chen stepped forward, exhaustion etched into his face. We've integrated the artifacts from the Cydonia ruins into the prototype. If the translations are correct, we're looking at technology that predates the hegemony by millions of years. And they've never discovered it? The Martian ruins were buried deep, Captain. It seems the precursors deliberately hid their legacy from those who would misuse it. Maya nodded, running her fingers through her close-cropped hair. Timeline? 3 weeks until the prototype is operational. But Captain? Chen hesitated. We're talking about completely rewriting the laws of physics as the hegemony understands them. If we're wrong, we're already dead if we do nothing, Maya replied, her tone leaving no room for debate. The sanctions have already claimed thousands of lives in the outer colonies. Earth itself is beginning to experience critical resource shortages. The discovery had been accidental. A routine mining operation in the Cydonia region of Mars had uncovered ruins of non-human origin, predating Earth's first contact with the hegemony by eons. Within those ruins lay technological remnants of a civilization far more advanced than even the hegemony, a civilization the official galactic records never mentioned. Most crucially, they found evidence of energy manipulation at a quantum level that made the hegemony's faster-than-light technology look primitive by comparison. Has the hegemony detected any of our activities? Maya asked, turning to her intelligence officer. Lieutenant Sofia Diaz shook her head. Their surveillance remains focused on our official channels and military installations. They're not looking for us here. They believe this facility was abandoned after the water sanctions began. Maya allowed herself the ghost of a smile. Their arrogance will be their undoing. Continue preparations and maintain communication blackout protocols. We get one chance at this. Across Earth and its remaining colonies, similar scenes played out in hidden bunkers and disguised facilities. While the hegemony monitored official military channels and government communications, a shadow network of scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked in concert, piecing together the fragments of precursor technology. On Europa, Dr. Kwan's team adapted the principles to weapon systems. On Earth, the remnants of the United Space Command integrated the new technology into their remaining fleet. On Mars, Maya's team worked on the cornerstone of humanity's resistance, a method of travel that would render the hegemony's control of hyperspace lanes completely irrelevant, all while presenting a facade of a civilization slowly buckling under the pressure of sanctions. In the palatial chambers of the Hegemony Council on Axiom Prime, Diplomatic Minister Vex Ara presented her quarterly assessment of the Earth situation. The humans continue to display remarkable stubbornness, she reported. her translucent appendages shimmering with bioluminescent patterns of frustration. However, our models indicate total capitulation within 2 standard cycles. Their resource reserves are depleting at an accelerated rate, and we've detected increased civil unrest in their population centers. Grand Arbiter Zenthul absorbed this information with satisfaction. And their military capabilities? Diminished significantly. Their fleet remains docked at Earth's orbital stations conserving fuel. We've detected no weapons advancements or unusual activities. It appears they recognize the futility of resistance. Excellent. Prepare terms of submission for my review. When they finally break, I want to be ready to bring them properly into the fold. They will serve as an excellent example to other species contemplating independence. As the council meeting adjourned, none of the assembled representatives of the 17 most powerful species in the galaxy suspected that humanity's apparent submission was anything but genuine. None imagined that deep beneath Mars's rusty surface, Maya Reyes was about to test a technology that would render the hegemony's carefully constructed power structure obsolete. Initiating quantum field stabilization, Dr. Chen announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls that surrounded the spherical device suspended in the center of the underground chamber. Maya watched anxiously as the prototype, barely larger than a human fist, began to emit a soft blue glow. Around it, reality itself seemed to bend slightly as though space were fabric being gently pinched. Field stable. Proceeding to phase shift test, Chen continued, his voice steady despite the enormity of what they were attempting. The device pulsed once, then disappeared. For 3 heartbeats, the chamber was silent. Then 3 meters to the left, it reappeared, not faster than light travel, something else entirely. The device hadn't moved through space. It had simply reorganized reality so that it existed in a different location. The implications were staggering. It works, Maya whispered, breaking into a genuine smile for the first time in months. Alert all teams. We begin final preparations for Operation Thunderbolt immediately. As Earth prepared its counteroffensive, the hegemony tightened its grip further. 3 more human outposts were forced to evacuate due to regulatory noncompliance. A medical supply shipment to Europa was seized on suspicion of containing prohibited technology. The official Earth government issued increasingly desperate pleas for leniency, playing perfectly into the narrative of a civilization on the verge of capitulation. Behind this veil of desperation, humanity prepared for war. The remaining fleet, vessels were secretly retrofitted with precursor-derived technology. Soldiers trained on weapons that could disable rather than destroy, for humanity had no desire to commit the same atrocities that had been inflicted upon them. And most importantly, a network of the new quantum displacement devices was strategically positioned throughout hegemony space, completely undetectable to their scanning technology. On the eve of Operation Thunderbolt, Maya addressed the assembled commanders via secure quantum entanglement communication, another gift from the precursor ruins. Tomorrow we remind the galaxy that humanity will not be relegated to footnote status in their histories. Tomorrow we fight not just for our survival, but for the right of all species to determine their own destiny, free from hegemony control. We do not seek vengeance or domination, only the freedom that is our birthright. As her words reached hidden enclaves across the solar system, humanity steeled itself for the most significant conflict in its history, a battle that would either secure their place among the stars or end their cosmic journey forever. The silent rebellion was about to find its voice. Defiance rising, Grand Arbiter Zenthul was reviewing the final draft of Earth's terms of surrender when the first reports reached Axiom Prime. Impossible, he muttered, staring at the emergency transmission. Confirm this data. His aide trembled visibly. It has been confirmed, Grand Arbiter. 3 separate hegemony installations have reported simultaneous attacks by unidentified vessels. The attackers appeared without triggering any hyperspace detection arrays. Before Zenthul could process this information, the chamber's security systems engaged, bathing the room in pulsing red light. A moment later, Admiral Zorvex, Supreme Commander of the Hegemony Defense Forces, burst into the room. "We are under attack," the Admiral announced, his exoskeletal armor clicking with each urgent movement. Human vessels have appeared throughout hegemony space. They're targeting our military and communication infrastructure with surgical precision. Senthul's composure faltered. Human vessels, that's absurd. Their fleet is docked at Earth, and our blockade? Their ships appeared simultaneously in 17 systems, Zorvex interrupted. Protocol forgotten in the crisis. No hyperspace signatures, no warning, and these are not the vessels in our database. These are something else. Operation Thunderbolt unfolded with a precision born of desperate necessity. Using the quantum displacement technology derived from the precursor artifacts, humanity's warships materialized directly adjacent to key hegemony targets, bypassing defensive perimeters and rendering billions of credits worth of early warning systems utterly useless. Captain Maya Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's first quantum-capable warship, as it appeared in orbit around Axiom Prime itself, the heavily fortified capital of the hegemony. All systems operational, reported Lieutenant Diaz from the tactical station. Quantum displacement successful. We are exactly at the calculated coordinates. Maya nodded, taking in the breathtaking view of the hegemony's seat of power, a massive, orbital array of interconnected structures spanning thousands of kilometers. Deploy jamming fields as planned, target weapons and propulsion systems only. I want precision strikes, not casualties. Across hegemony space, 23 other human vessels executed similar maneuvers, appearing like ghosts beside military installations, communication hubs, and enforcement outposts. Their attacks were methodical and restrained, disabling rather than destroying, neutralizing threats without unnecessary bloodshed. This was not a war of annihilation. It was a statement. In the Hegemony Council's emergency bunker, chaos reigned as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Neutrino communication hub in the Proxima system disabled. Hyperspace enforcement fleet in Sector 7 immobilized. Trade regulation station at Tau Ceti reports complete systems failure. Admiral Zorvex struggled to coordinate a response, but the attacks defied conventional defensive doctrine. How could one defend against an enemy that didn't need to travel through space to reach its targets? Establish a communication channel with Earth's government, Grand Arbiter Zenthul commanded, struggling to maintain authority amid the crisis. They must have demands. No species commits acts of war without incoming transmission, interrupted the communications officer. It's being broadcast on all frequencies simultaneously. We can't block it. The central holographic display flickered, then resolved into the image of a human female in a stark military uniform. Her eyes were hard, but there was no malice in her expression, only determination. I am Captain Maya Reyes of the United Earth Defense Force, she began, her voice calm and measured. For 2 years, the galactic hegemony has attempted to strangle humanity into submission. Today, that ends.
Maya had rehearsed this speech countless times, knowing the fate of her species might hang on these words. As you have now witnessed, humanity possesses technological capabilities beyond your understanding. We could have used this power to destroy
your military installations, your governance centers, your trade networks. Instead, we have chosen to simply disable them. She paused, letting the implications sink in. This is not an act of conquest. This is a declaration of independence. Humanity will no longer accept the role you have attempted to force upon us. We will not be your laborers, your resource gatherers, or your subordinates. On the bridge of the Defiance, Maya could see the hegemony's defensive platforms attempting to target her vessel, futilely, as the quantum field surrounding the ship made conventional targeting impossible. We demand the immediate cessation of all sanctions against Earth and its colonies. We demand recognition of human sovereignty and our right to develop our own technological and cultural path. We demand equal status in any future galactic governance structures. Maya's expression hardened slightly. You have 1 standard hour to respond. During this time, we will maintain our current positions. Any aggressive action against our vessels will be met with proportional response. And should you refuse our terms? She left the threat unspoken but clear. A species that could appear anywhere at any time without warning could not be contained by conventional means. The choice is yours. Will today mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation, or will you cling to a power structure that has just been proven obsolete? In the hegemony's emergency bunker, stunned silence followed the end of Maya's transmission. How? Admiral Zorvex finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. How did a quarantined species develop technology that surpasses our most advanced research? Grand Arbiter Zenthul had no answer. The hegemony's entire power structure was built on technological superiority and control of hyperspace travel. If humans had found another way to traverse the cosmos, one that the hegemony couldn't monitor or regulate, the implications were civilization-altering. We must negotiate, offered Diplomatic Minister Vexara, breaking the silence. If they wanted destruction, they could have achieved it already. They're showing remarkable restraint for a species we've been actively oppressing. Zenthul bristled at the word oppressing, but couldn't formulate a convincing counter-argument. Not with 24 human warships positioned at the most vulnerable points in the hegemony's infrastructure, each capable of inflicting catastrophic damage. Prepare a response, he finally ordered. Inform Captain Reyes that the Council is willing to discuss terms. 6 hours later, Maya Reyes stood in the Grand Chamber of the Hegemony Council, a place no human had ever been permitted to enter. The quantum displacement technology had allowed her to arrive without using their regulated transportation systems, another small but pointed demonstration of humanity's new capabilities. Your demands are unprecedented, Grand Arbiter Zenthul stated, trying to reclaim some semblance of authority. No species has ever been granted independent development rights while participating in galactic affairs. No species has demonstrated the ability to render your control mechanisms irrelevant, Maya countered calmly. The cosmic balance you claim to maintain is built on technological disparity. That disparity no longer exists. Around the chamber, representatives of the 17 dominant species murmured among themselves. Some appeared outraged, others frightened, and a few, Maya noted with interest, seemed almost relieved. The technology you've displayed, began Science Minister Thalcon, his multifaceted eyes glinting with curiosity. It defies our understanding of spatial physics. How did you acquire such knowledge? Maya smiled thinly. Earth has many secrets, Minister, as do other worlds in our solar system. Perhaps if the hegemony had approached us as equals seeking cultural exchange rather than as resources to be exploited, we might have shared those discoveries willingly. The barb struck home and several council members shifted uncomfortably. What assurances do we have that humanity won't use this technology for galactic domination? Asked Zenthul. You could appear inside any secure facility, any private chamber, anywhere in known space. The same assurances you have from any civilization with powerful technology. Our ethical frameworks and mutual interests in stability, Maya replied. But rest assured, any attempt to resume hostilities against Earth will be met with immediate response. We can protect ourselves now. For hours, the negotiations continued. The hegemony's initial shock gave way to a grudging pragmatism as they recognized their new reality. Humanity could not be controlled through conventional means. The balance of power had fundamentally shifted. By the cycle's end, a new accord was drafted. The hegemony would recognize human sovereignty and end all sanctions. Earth would share certain aspects of their new technology, carefully selected, to improve quality of life across the galaxy without enabling oppression. Both sides would establish diplomatic relations based on mutual respect, rather than hierarchical structures. It was, Maya reflected as she prepared to return to the Defiance, only a beginning. Centuries of hegemony domination wouldn't be undone in a day, but it was a start. 1 month later, Maya stood on the observation deck of humanity's new embassy on Axiom Prime, watching the diverse species of the galaxy go about their business below. Already the consequences of Operation Thunderbolt were reverberating through galactic society. 3 more species have petitioned for developmental independence, reported Dr. Chen, now serving as Earth's science attaché. The Krell, the Novari, and the Ixil Confederacy. They're citing our agreement as precedent. Maya nodded, unsurprised. And the hegemony? Adapting surprisingly well. Zenthul has announced his retirement. The leading candidate to replace him is advocating for a fundamental restructuring of galactic governance, a cooperative council, rather than a hierarchical system. And the precursor technology? Chen smiled. We're still translating the archives, but what we've found suggests they deliberately seeded their knowledge across the galaxy, hiding it from species that might abuse it and leaving it for those who would use it responsibly. Maya turned her gaze toward the stars visible through the massive viewport. Somewhere out there, perhaps, the precursors themselves were watching. Or perhaps they were long gone, having left their legacy in the hands of younger races. We did the right thing, she said softly. We could have used their technology for conquest. Instead, we're using it to reshape the galaxy into something better. Humanity's defining trait, Chen agreed. Not our stubbornness or our ingenuity, but our capacity to imagine better futures and then create them. As diplomatic envoys from a dozen worlds approached the human embassy, seeking dialogue and partnership, Maya reflected on how quickly the cosmic order had changed. The silent rebellion had given voice not just to humanity's aspirations, but to the suppressed hopes of countless species across the stars. The galactic hegemony had sought to force humanity into submission. Instead, they had inadvertently catalyzed the next great evolution of galactic civilization, one built on equality, cooperation, and the freedom to chart one's own course among the stars. It was, Maya decided, a worthy legacy for the first humans, to reach beyond their solar system. Not conquerors, not subjects, but architects of a new cosmic order where all voices could be heard. The future beckoned, vast and bright with possibility.